dahil sa marahas at madugong misencounter daw na naganap sa pagitan ng mga miyembro ng PNP Special Action Force, ng Moro Islamic Liberation Front at ng Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters sa Mamasapano, Maguindanao. Marami ang muling napaisip sa maaaring maihatid ng pagtatatag ng Bangsamoro entity sa Mindanao. Kapayapaan nga ba ang maidudulot nito o kaguluhan pa rin dahil sa dagdag na kapangyarihan sa mga mamumuno sa lugar? 44 na miyembro ng Special Forces ng pulisya ang binawian ng buhay noong linggo sa palitan ng putok na ito. Ang dahilan, ang puwersa ng pamahalaan hindi raw nagpaalam. Kung ngayong hindi pa naipapasa ang batas na gagabay sa Bangsamoro, kinakailangan na ng permiso o ng koordinasyon ng mga alagad ng batas sa MILF bago makapagsagawa ng kanilang trabaho. Ang tanong ng ilan, paano na kung ang otonomiya sa kanila ay mapasakamay na? Mawawala na ba ang pangingibabaw ng batas at ng kapangyarihan ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas na makapanghimasok sa mga aktibidad sa Bangsamoro? Ang naganap sa Mamasapano, Maguindanao, sumasalamin ba sa maaari pang maganap sa hinaharap? Ilang mambabatas na ang umatras sa pagsuporta at pagsusulong ng Bangsamoro Basic Law dahil sa nangyari sa Mamasapano, habang ang palasyo hindi natitinag ang pananampalataya rito. Kapayapaan daw ang hatid ng pagtatatag ng Bangsamoro entity, ang kapayapaang ilang dekada na nating ipinagdarasal, pinapangarap, pinagtatrabahuhan at inaasikaso. Muli, ang sagot nga ba riyan ay ang Bangsamoro.
Ano ba ang epekto sa Bangsamoro entity at Bangsamoro Basic Law, yung draft po na bill sa madugong engkwentro sa Mamasapano, Maguindanao? Malalaman natin ang sagot dyan sa ating mga bisita ngayong gabi na ipapakilala ni Tito Joe.
With us this evening, Prof. George, is the chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights. Of course, kilalang kilala si Mama Eta Rosales. Good evening, ma'am. And welcome back to Political Watch. With her this evening is the Dean of the Institute of Islamic Studies of the University of the Philippines. Mainit siya mga ngayong panahon. Ating Suki card holder na rin. George, ano? Walang iba kundi si Dean Jul Kipli Wati. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Welcome back,
George.
Ma'am, ano
And
po?
of course, George, later on the phone, makakapanayam din natin ang Vice Chairman of the for Political Affairs
Ng MILF.
of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front or MILF. Walang iba kundi si Jaafar Ghazali, of course.
Ma'am, ano po ang official statement ng Commission on Human Rights? Kasi po, may mga nagko-komento sa dyaryo, sa radyo na mukhang human rights tumahimik ang Commission on Human Rights. Pero ngayon po, nakita namin kayo kanina and then nandito naman po kayo. But what is the official position and statement of the Commission on Human Rights?
Yeah, we issued a statement. I hope you got the statement.
Yes, sir.
Nakuha ba ninyo?
Hindi pa kami po
Hindi pa
Oh
kami
my gosh, that's unfortunate because we issued a statement right away. Well, not right away. Pinag-aralan muna namin. No? And the official statement is that first of all, we are terribly saddened by what happened. No? Napakalungkot. Dahil sa, alam nyo, high hopes na ito eh. Everybody was talagang looking to the, not just nationally but internationally, to the forging of an agreement, a peace agreement. So, napakalungkot nitong nangyaring ito. But essentially, tingin namin, siguro dapat nagkaroon ng coordination ang forces with the IMT, the International Monitoring Team, at saka yung coordinating committee for the cessation of hostilities and ceasefire. Sapagkat, at least ang tingin namin, kung nagkaroon ng ganon, ito yung mga mechanisms that are necessary to and have to be put in place para matiyak natin na maayos at mapayapa yung negotiations for peace. Sapagkat, kailan ba naman nagsimula ito? 2008 pa, hindi ba? And so far, so good naman yung kwan until this unfortunate incident. However, so we welcome a board of inquiry to look into the matter. Pero no stone left unturned, dapat exhaustive siya, dapat comprehensive siya, at dapat tiyakin natin na mailabas natin.
Yung pong
Yung
CHR may
katotohanan.
sariling board of inquiry na kinreate po.
Well, we don't have a board of inquiry, but we do have investigation that should be
Yes, ma'am.
done. And it should be seen from the human rights lens, at saka sa lens din ng international humanitarian law.
Ayun.
So far, may mga balita pa kayo, may mga indikasyon ba na somehow the human rights of anyone na na-involved doon sa inkwentro, most especially yung mga namatay, na-violate or whatever?
Well, syempre,
Well, you can come in, of course.
ang malakas naman yung yung ingay tungkol lalo na sa social media. But I'd rather suspend judgment until we are able to come up with the official reports,
Yes.
at saka also with the board of inquiry and then the forensic examination. No? Oo. So, para maging fair tayo sa lahat. But I would also like to call on the MILF, the leaders of the MILF, to make their own inquiry also into the matter and to find out then ano ba ang nangyari. Was there excessive use of force? Saan ba tayo nagkamali? Ano ba yung naging problema? Para sa ganon, we can ferret the truth together. Because ultimately, umaasa ako, syempre like everybody else, that peace has to be the goal. More than anything else, I will say, Bangsamoro Basic Law has to be approved. Never mind if there are imperfections, but this is an imperative kung gusto natin yung pangmatagalang kapayapaan na siyang batayan para magkaroon ng sustainable development.
Yung suspension of the consideration, yung mga hearings pati sa pag-consider sa Bangsamoro Basic Law, yung draft. Is it proper at this point o masyado magsesend dyan ng maling signal, hindi lamang sa ating mga mamamayan kung hindi lalong-lalo na sa kabilang grupo din? What should be the proper action of our government at this point?
Naintindihan naman natin yung emosyon, yung so-called passion of the day, sabi ko nga. At kailangan din, kumbaga, maramdaman ng gobyerno yung gravity ng ganong klaseng pagpatay. But then, we have to look at the bigger picture. Nasa almost last phase na ngayon ng discussion ng BBL, na almost last phase na rin yung nasa term ni President Aquino. At saka marami pa tayong mga mahalagang mekanismo gagawin doon sa BBL, tulad ng pagpasa ng batas, baka ma-TRO pa, baka at yung referendum, ang pag-upo ng MILF bilang Transition Authority. So definitely, yung mga ganitong tawag dito development dyan sa Congress, particular sa Senado, ay makakadagdag ito ng paghaba ng timetable na wala naman sa original di ba? Contemplation ng kung ano yung timetable noon. So makaka-apekto siya definitely. And I think it will take another strong position on the part of Malacanang to convince these legislators to reconsider their recent attempt to remove their support from the BBL, kasi walang option ng gobyerno kundi ituloy itong peace process, kasi wala siyang makausap na ibang grupo to project that there is at least a semblance of peace in Mindanao. Hindi kakayanin ng gobyerno lahat ng rebel group sa Mindanao magiging kaaway niya. There has to be at least one group. Ito yung Moro Islamic Liberation.
On the part of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, ano ba dapat ang gagawin nila para mabawasan ang init, galit, at para maipakita nila yung kanilang sincerity,
Right.
that they are really for peace?
Right. Alam mo, totoo yun. Kasi ang halos parang bumagsak ngayon yung tiwala. Tingin ko hindi lang yung nanggagaling sa mga leader dyan sa Kongreso, but lalong-lalo na sa taong bayan. Kasi ang impression ay parang anong klaseng negosasyon yan, na sanang yung nasa kabila ay magpakita ng sincerity, At sa mga panahon na ganyan, na kailangan talaga na magpakita ang MILF, pero parang sobra naman. ang ipanakita ng rank and file. But then, alam mo, hindi natin masisisi ang MILF eh. I think ang liderato ng Moro Islamic Liberation Front is really willing to move forward and towards a final peace agreement. Ang problema, yung incident nung nasa Mamasapano, I think walang control doon. Yung liderato ng MILF, maski yung rank and file, pinasok sila, kailangan nilang dumepensa. So, kumbaga, parang mahirap magturo ngayon kung sino yung may kasalanan eh. Kung sigurong tingnan na lang natin kung paano natin masasalba itong problemang to.
It's really more on self-defense, hindi po ba? Yun yung
Totoo yan.
pag tinignan mo sa kanilang banda, pinasok sila, pumunta ka doon, wala kang coordination, self-defense.
Self-defense, but then, alam mo, may punto rin yung SAF eh. Ang hinanali naman, nandun yung so-called terrorista.
Yes.
Ngayon, kung ikakalat nila yung impormasyon, makikipag-coordinate sila, parang sa party nila, anong kasiguruhan na baka mag-leak information, makawala itong inahabol natin, and so on and so forth. So, yung dalawang panig na to, talagang may dilema.
Bago ko pumunta, sir, kay chairperson, ano po, sa palagay niyo ba itong mga ganitong klaseng insidente hindi na-anticipate nung nagkakaroon ng negotiation noong yung GRP panel at saka yung MILF panel, hindi kaya nila ito na-anticipate, although may sinasabi nga tayo yung mga cessation of hostilities na ganyan, ceasefire. But ito bang ganito, hindi nakita yung mga protocols na ganito and then therefore kaya nagkaroon ng ganyan?
Or if I may add to it, hindi ba ito napag-usapan?
No, tingin ko,
Like for example, yung mag-serve ng arrest warrants on internationally, even internationally wanted terrorists.
Tingin
na
ko,
sa area or sakop nila.
yes. Tingin ko, dapat nilagay itong mga mekanismong ito. I think, parte na ito ng anticipation. At marami tayong masasabi tungkol dyan. Ang isa pang sigurong dapat tingnan, yung timing nitong operasyon na ito. Kasi bilang observer ng Mindanao conflict, itong dynamics this past several years, parang hindi natin makita yung necessity na gawin itong napaka-sensitibong operasyon dyan sa lugar na yan. Kasi in the first place, matagal na raw dyan si Marwan. Sa Sulu nakikita, minsan nababalita na namatay na, and so on. Umiikot siya. At wala namang pressure na kailangan siyang i-hand over sa Malaysia. O di kaya pressure galing sa United States. Ano? Kung may pressure siguro na kailangan ayusin, ay dapat yung bago dumating ang Santo Papa. Para talagang walang threat sa security ng Santo Papa. Eh, maayos naman yung pagdating niya. So, di tayo nagtatanong tayo, bakit ngayon na biglang nagkaroon ng interest?
So, it's a question of timing, really.
Precisely.
Ayun.
Ma'am, yung mga panawagan, for example, even the president said so, no? Pero the phrase he used was, I expect them to surrender the firearms, equipment, personal belongings, and other things that they got from the slain soldiers. What do you think, ma'am? Dapat ba talaga gawin ng MILF yan?
Of course. Of course.
And do you think they will do that?
Well, I don't know if they will do it, but they should do it. Alam mo, may Geneva agreements. Ako nga, tuntua nga ako dyan sa MILF, yung mechanisms that were set up. I've been able to talk to some of their leaders also, and I was quite impressed because here is a leadership that is sincere and is serious. Pag may grievance mechanism, pag may problema, talagang siniseryoso nila. Tapos pinapaliwanag nila. This was much earlier. I had a chance to talk to some of them. So to me, it was something na I really looked forward to. I was optimistic because at last, kung ganon, here is something na merong mechanisms in place. Now, when you're talking that way, itong mga ito, they usually subscribe as parties, no? They subscribe to international standards. Yung Geneva Agreements, kahit nga dun sa CPP-NPA, Geneva Agreements, dun sa kanilang Caril na comprehensive, etc., comprehensive agreement on human rights and international humanitarian law. Ganun din dito sa MILF. So, ang ibig sabihin niyan, pag IHL ang pinag-uusapan mo from an IHL lens, dapat lamang you don't usually, hindi ka pumapatay pag hindi ka sigurado dun sa nakikita mong combatant, kung civilian ba siya o combatant siya, you hold your fire. That was the Leonard Co incident na ang lakas-lakas ng position namin diyan, di ba? So, mga ganong klase. Then, papaano, siyempre, pag minahuli ka, nabuhay, hindi mo siya papatayin. Di ba?
Dapat yun.
Dapat
Ganun
yun.
yung nakalagay sa
Kakapture mo siya. And then, yun yung mga IHL. Ngayon, yung human rights, papasok pag nahuli mo na siya, you don't torture dahil under your custody na. So, maraming mga ganyan. At saka yung sinasabi mo, kailangan bang isoli, not a single centavo, should be taken yung piece of property. Maganda ang ating mga batas. No? And there are standards. And for all intents and purposes, much of this was actually for a long period of time being complied with until this incident.
Ma'am, dun sa draft Bangsamoro Basic Law, yung bang, yung sa analysis po niyo, yung bang powers and duties of the Commission on Human Rights as enshrined in the Constitution, hindi naman po na-reduced or fully guaranteed pa rin kahit na maipasa?
Yeah. Because we have the Regional Human Rights Commission and the CHR had a lot to do with helping set up the RHRC. No? So, pero ngayon, under the BBL, you're going to have a parliament that will craft a new law for the setting up of a new Human Rights Commission.
Yes,
so, madi-dissolve lahat itong mga entities na ito, itong mga organizations na ito. So, malinaw na magkakaroon ng human rights mechanism in place by the BBL. So, all of this has been processed during the transitory provisions. Talagang tinitiyak din kung paano itong ginagawa. And CHR is in close touch with the RHRC para matiyak natin, ika nga namin napaka-importante na pag nakatayo na itong Bangsamoro Basic Law, no, nandiyan yung human rights mechanism pa rin.
Ang isa sa pinaka-vague po na provision doon sa draft bill, of which I think na may concern din talaga ng CHR po, ay yung point na the PNP that will be assigned there will be directly responsible to the Chief Minister. Hindi po maliwanag kung paano yung PNP vis-a-vis Camp Crame or vis-a-vis the DILG Secretary, vis-a-vis the NAPOLCOM, but they will be directly responsible to the Chief Minister. Hindi kaya po magiging problem yun later on?
The question of autonomy, I think, defines yung ganyang klaseng who holds authority over them.
Yes, ma'am.
Because even now, when you look at it, the PNP forces are really under the local government, the DILG. Di ba? Of course, under Marcos, PCINP, ang diretso yan. Pero ngayon, to civilianize and democratize and localize peace and order, they were under the PNP. So, the same principle operates when you're talking about the autonomous region.
Din, not all the facts are in, of course. No? But so far, ang sabi nga nila, nagsimula madaling araw. Tapos 4:30 in the morning. Ang sabi nila, misencounter. And yet, there are reports na as of mga 6:30 in the morning, nakialam na ang IMT, the International Monitoring Teams, and then yung mga involved sa ika nga magkakaroon ng ceasefire. Why was it na hindi nagkaroon ng ceasefire? Dahil despite their efforts, kung totoo nga ang mga balita, lalong tumindi ang pakbakan. So, my main question really is, sa inyong pagkakaalam, does the MILF leadership have full and effective command and control over all their field units?
Alam mo, dun sa mga initial reports na tatanggap natin o nababasa natin, ang parang unang encounter daw ay encounter ng SAF at saka ng MILF forces. Pero nung umatras ang SAF,
Magpo-pull out.
nung nag-retreat sila, nandoon yung BIFF. So ibig sabihin, naipit ng dalawang puwersa ang SAF. Kung titingnan mo yung terrain nga doon sa Mamasapano, parang napakahirap talaga ang lagay ng SAF. Kasi ang ganda ng pwesto, ng mga MILF tawag dito, mga MILF forces. Whereas sila, naipit sila doon sa may parang taniman ng mais.
Cornfield.
Likod nun ay parang river. So wala silang maatasan. Tapos nandun sa likod nila yung BIFF.
Ibig sabihin, yung puwersa ng MILF at ng BIFF ay halos magkakalapit lang.
Magkakalapit to the extent, I think, mga magkakamag-anak naman ng mga
Inamin naman ng magkakamag-anak. Ibig sabihin, supposedly, di ba, breakaway group ang BIFF. And supposedly, magkaaway na nga sila ng MILF. But it would appear dahil may mga family ties that are involved, it would appear that practically they even cooperated with one another.
Correct. I think yun din ang punto siguro kung bakit hindi rin nag-coordinate ng maayos ang SAC. Kasi nga, pag nag-leak yan, walang mangyayari doon sa...
And of course, in the middle, somewhere there, was Marwan, Basit Usman, and their bodyguards, and it would appear that ang presence nila doon was being tolerated.
Yan siguro ang dapat itanong sa
Investigasyon.
sa Moro Islamic
By
Liberation
both groups, in fact.
Ma'am, kagabi po nung mag-speech ang ating Pangulo, ang ini-expect ng lahat, may konting yung man lang, hindi naman galit, but yung mga strong words, and at the same time, medyo hindi, when it comes to the MILF, there should be a demand to return firearms. Yung po ba sa inyong palagay medyo may kakulangan o sapat lang dahil nga sa medyo napaka-serious ng situation, including syempre yung other party, ay nag-aabang din sa magiging pananalita ng ating Pangulo?
Yan po ay sasagutin ni
pero Tito Joe,
Mama Eta after we pause for a break. But in the meantime,
yes,
nasa ating linya si dating DILG Secretary Rafael Alunan. Good evening, sir.
Good evening po, sir.
Good evening, good evening.
Yes, sir. What is your take dito po sa nangyari dito sa Maguindanao po? As a former DILG Secretary, base po sa inyong experience, ano po ba talaga, what really went wrong in this operation?
Well, to begin with,
Yes, sir.
pumasok sila sa isang lugar where the MILF and the BIFF were cohabitating. They were in the same area and they were helping each other out. Apparently, they're one and the same group. And alam mo, BIFF is an Islamist jihadist group. The MILF is supposed to be a peace partner of the Philippine government, but it turns out that mag-isa lang pala itong MILF at BIFF. Kaya ang nangyari, nung pumasok yung mga tropa natin, binakpakan sila ng MILF at BIFF. So, as far as I'm concerned,
Yes, sir.
number one,
Yes, sir.
the MILF is not a sincere peace partner. That's number one. Number two, I think that from the details that are coming out now, of course, I still have to see the final report, but
Yes, sir.
from the details that have been coming out, kulang sa coordination, that's one. The other is yung chain of command was not involved. Nalaktawan yung mga ibang miyembro ng chain of command. Number three, it looks like the planning was very poor because I'm saying that because instead of sending troops, they could have easily sent aircraft to destroy the area where the fugitives were. And anyway, they were wanted dead or alive.
Yes, sir.
And then they could have just sent in the troops siguro later on after they've cleared and sanitized the area to pick up the remains. Ang nangyari, baliktad ang nangyari. So, mali-mali yung planning, mali-mali yung operations at kulang sa review, kulang sa vetting
Yes, sir.
yung kanilang O-plan, in-plan at saka mga contingency plans. Hindi na pag-isipan ng mabuti.
Secretary, mukhang totoo lang yata ang mga balita that Secretary Marawas was completely unaware of O-plan Wolverine, as they are calling it. And si Police Director na Peñas only informed the officer in charge of the Philippine National Police, si General Espina, when the firefight was already in progress. So, sa tingin mo ba, and of course, General Napeñas is not saying kung kanino siya nagre-report. Sa tingin mo ba, did General Napeñas acted on his own or was he reporting to someone else?
Well, we'll never know that because we're just, a lot of it is hearsay. But what I think is happening is that General Napeñas is taking command responsibility to remove the onus of accountability on higher authorities. So inaako niya na lang na siya na ang may kasalanan sa lahat. But an operation like this, where international fugitives are involved, foreign countries are involved. In fact, one of them, the United States, is the one providing the reward money. Is such a strategic law enforcement operation that the staff commander cannot act on his own, solely on his own. The protocol there is for the plans to be vetted all the way up to the commander-in-chief. Starting from the staff commander to the chief PNP, to the chairman of the National Police Commission, who is concurrently the SILG, to the head of the Anti-Terrorist Council, because terrorism is involved and international terrorists are the target,
Yes.
and ultimately the commander-in-chief. That is the protocol.
Yes, sir. Sir, as a final statement niyo po, how do you think should justice be served in this case po? Siyempre po naghahanap yung sambayan ng Pilipino ng resulta man lang o ng action mula sa ating pamahalaan.
Well, this is, to begin with, I was waiting for strong words to condemn the action that never came from our higher-ups, and I condemn that. But that said, I think the AFP and the PNP should sort things out with the respective secretaries and still sit down with the commander-in-chief and present to them a plan to run after the culprits, no? Of course, they have to use all available means of intelligence gathering. Kasi for all you know, wala na yung mga tao doon, lumipat na sa ibang lugar. At useless lang yung operation kung lulusob tayo doon at wala namang makitang target. But in any case, there should be a plan to run after these fugitives and get as many of them as possible. At the same time, the Philippine government should demand from the MILF accountability for the acts of the members of the MILF who acted in concert with the BIFF and the Jima Islamia to give up the people who are involved, because we have to find out if they're really sincere. Baka a miracle might occur and they might give up the people who are involved, but of course I doubt it na mangyayari yun. But the Philippine government still has to go through the motions of demanding that the people responsible for the massacre should be given up by the MILF.
Yes, sir.
And number three, there should be a very serious and thorough review by the lower house and the Senate about this peace agreement, because for a long time people have been saying already, especially in Mindanao, that the very first step that was taken was wrong already. Kaya all the other steps that were taken were also wrong, and it started with the exclusion of many parties sa consultations and in the negotiations. Although pinapakita ng gobyerno that they were consulted, pero it was after the fact that parang sandali lang para masabi lang na kinausap sila. But there's a great deal of anger about their exclusion from the peace talks. I'm talking about Christian and Muslim groups, no?
Yes, sir.
Kaya't maraming kailangang ayusin, maraming mali. Pero kung ang mali ay nag-umpisa sa itaas, hindi naman aaminin, wala mangyayari. So, I think Congress really has to step in and try to make things right.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's the only other branch in government
Yes, sir.
that can perhaps force another branch of government to do the right things, no?
Yes.
Through appropriate pressures. media should also get involved and not let up until we extract the complete truth, the complete unvarnished truth about what really happened, and then demand accountability.
Sir,
Ayan.
thank you very much for your time po, ha.
Maraming salamat, Secretary Alunan.
Yun,
Ayan.
Tito Jot, kinakailangan
In the
mag-break mo tayo.
meantime,
Sandali.
Prof. George, tayo po, we will pause for a short break. Magbabalik po kami. Diyan lamang po kayo.